highest following, hindi lang ABC, NCR. So actually,
Mm.
most educated and your most wealthy regions, actually most supporters of Sara until recently, I would say, until last year probably, and Duterte. So yun yung
Mhm.
phenomenon na people like Walden have been looking at. They have seen similar thing in Brazil, yung Bolsonaro base. I would say similar also in Modi's case, similar also. Like, meron ganun eh. It's like also yung mga mayayaman na Republicans who are very pro-Trump. Diba? Na
Yeah.
highly educated and all, yeah.
So the thing is, one, Machiavelli, di ba? The prince. So you make them love you or hate you or kung ano man. But also, there's this issue of othering, di ba? At this is also the sociological approach na if they're not human, if they are dehumanized, they're addicts, they're criminals, yan yung mga snatcher nyo, they're easy for the call, ready for the calling. Kasi sino naman sila kundi salot sa lipunan. Ang pangit din kasi parang ang tingin natin may ibang kumbaga the other, hindi tao. And that's how they do ito nga yung sa red tagging. Sasabihin sa'yo, ano ka, or tagging essentially. Drug addict ka kaya hindi ka naman dapat mabuhay na. And that is, doon natin makikita yung double standards. Kasi may mga drug addict na mayaman. But we don't kill them.
Artista pa yung
And
iba.
what, yeah, and they're, or even relatives of people in power. So, gano'n, no? Na parang, ibig sabihin, yung othering is really targeted dun sa pinakamahihirap. I understand na parang kitang-kita natin yon na maraming mga bansa na ganun talaga yung approach. Yung pinaka-easy na target, yung perfect victims na yung sisisihin pa nila yung sarili nila na, ay oo nga, ako talaga yung may kasalanan kasi na-involve ako sa drugs or kasi ganito, ganyan. But then, ang hirap ding i-contextualize doon sa situation na pwede kasi sanang mag-isip yung thinking class, sabihin na natin na pwedeng mag-isip and could decide for others. And that's what we had with People Power 1, People Power 2. To some extent, these were middle class revolutions. And I just don't see why we're not seeing now how wrong it is for extrajudicial killings to happen. So, I'm still on the fence on this. Kung parang, is it because patayan ng mahirap? Pero pag nakawan, okay lang? Ano ba?
That was the
Kaya,
weirdest, right? So sabihin mo, mas safe kami kasi bumaba yung snatcher. Pero at the
yeah,
same time, tumaas ng homicide by like 300%, right? Like,
yeah,
in what universe is that a safer world?
yeah,
Unless
it's
you don't recognize, you dehumanize yung mga victims
the
of all,
other.
right? Or death.
Although, ito pala yung sa OFWs. I've heard this from someone and pinagtagpi-tagpi ko na rin that yes, OFWs, that is their parang entire point of supporting Duterte because law and order is an issue for them. They're so far away from their families. And if there's someone who could promise them that their families will be safe forever, talagang susuportahan nila yon. And so, tatay, may ganun pang selling factor. In the Philippines, we're also family-based, di ba? So, you've heard all these people na, or you're familiar with pare, erap, tol, ganyan. That's why they always call themselves that kasi you're part of the family.
But
So,
just to
si
be clear about
tatay,
this, Christina, again, ako, interestingly, when I was there in Europe doing the tour for relevant to ICC, kasi kung magla-live ka doon, yung algorithm mo will target yung mga potential audience mo. So biglang ang daming OFW na
oh,
nagko-comment. And guess what? Ang tawag ko sa kanya silent majority OFWs. Ang daming OFW nagsabi, either we voted for Duterte in the past pero nire-regret namin ngayon, namulat kami, or uy, hindi kami DDS tomato ng nagrarally dyan, hindi sila representative
hindi.
sa amin. So basically, yung parang sinasabi ni General Torre na maingay lang na minority yan. Well organized, very passionately organized. I even grouped
Yeah.
some of them. People may have seen the video. They were attacking me and all, but so I never questioned the organization and all. Like no one could match them. I mean, you could see the other side, but I think it's also unfair to the rest of the OFW community who actually are not necessarily
Mhm.
deterred, especially na ang dami na, like you can go to my YouTube, there are thousands of comments yung mga OFW sa Italy, sa Netherlands, sa Germany. Nako, sir, oh, hindi kami hindi kami DDS. Yung mga yan, nag-iingay sila. Hindi naman sila yung nagsasalita for all of us. Lalo nung sinabi nila magbo-boycott na sila ng Philippines, hindi sila magdala ng remittances, may nagsabing ganun na DDS.
Mhm,
Pero
mhm.
di ba, well, ano,
Kawawa. Ano
for
ba
yourself.
yung...
No, I mean, speak for yourself. Ano, dinadamay mo pa kami, di ba? And then when the Qatar situation happened, yung ibang FW, ang takot pa, sabi nila, baka mamaya lahat kaming Pinoy, titignan nilang, di ba? You get what I'm saying? Like, sometimes I
Yeah.
think it's also overread into this.
Well, yeah, I would love to
Yeah.
listen to them and to talk to them kasi but I'm looking at 2016 pa na parang why did the OFW support Duterte? Because he promised law and order. Malayo kami doon and I guess the people who are turning out now are those who until today have not quite grasped the concept or parang the truth na ang daming namatay kasing laki ng kalahati ng Araneta Coliseum. And if we look at ano pa lang yun sabi nga actually ito pa pala yung isang what's this argument na parang sabi si Duterte daw killed 30,000. No, it's just 7,000
It's just,
if it makes it any better. So
or
anyway,
and
itong mga
technically speaking,
OFW,
crimes against humanity doesn't have a quantitative threshold, right? Literally, if you can start even with a few, like single digits, right? I
yeah, in
think
fact,
Carranza had to
wag
point
naman
that out.
single,
No, no,
i-double
it's
naman
like yeah,
natin.
yeah. But do you get what I'm saying? Like even if it's
Yeah,
3,000, 1,000, even crimes against humanity is not a question of millions, right? I think
yeah.
some people don't understand. Yung quantum, yung threshold is not a question of 30 versus 7. Pero ang galing daw magbilang saan daw galing yung 30,000. Sabi nila Attorney Conti, tanim biktima daw kayo. Akalain mo na from tanim bala attack against Pinoy. Ngayon tanim
Binaliktad.
tama naman sa inyo, laban sa inyo, mga defenders of victims of EJK. So, ano masabi niyo sa tanim biktima?
Ito siguro yung pagkakataon na ilinaw kung sino yung mga biktima. So una, hindi totoo yung tanim biktima. Hindi, ang hirap mag-imbento ng ito, ganito siya namatay, kailan, ganyan, ganyan. At hindi pwede na magkaroon ng tanim biktima kasi stringent ang processes. And you've mentioned that earlier. Stringent ang processes dun sa pagpapatunay na biktima kami and to participate in the ICC. Kailangan mo ng proof of victimhood and then proof of identity. And then pangalawa, imposible yung tanim biktima na parang in the concept that they imagine it to be na parang tanim EJK or impossible kasi um, pinagdi-distinguish pa nila yung EJK victim at saka yung victim. In the ICC, a victim is someone who has been harmed by probably the killing, pero later on maybe we'll see the killing, torture, rape, and other inhumane acts. Sa ngayon, murder pa lang. Di ba? Yun yung naging issue. Bakit yung warrant of arrest si Duterte only murder, excluding torture and rape? O di sige, we're holding him accountable for murder. But the victims of that murder, of that, or one killing, you have indirect victims. Yung asawa na namatayan, biktima. Yung mga anak na nawalan ng breadwinner na magpapaaral, biktima. At lahat ng kabahay nila na nandoon nung nangyari yung insidente, posibleng maging biktima dahil dun sa psychological harm na created. Kaya yung iba dyan, yung isang argument kaya, bakit? Sino mga victims? Paano sila magte-testify? Paano sila magre-register? Sa ICC, kasi akala nila yung biktima, yung patay. Kaya kami parang, ang hirap mag-explain sa ayaw namang makinig at gusto lang na kunin yung mga tidbits, yung either maling nasabi mo or i-skew yung nasabi, biktima daw, biktima daw. Hi, kaya yung particular dun sa kaso na sinasabi niya si Aling Sheila, I'm going to put this back out. Si Aling Sheila, biktima ng aresto yung mga anak niya nung panahon ni Duterte. Might not have been killed during the time of Duterte, yung isang anak niya, yung nasa picture, ganyan. Pero grabe yung pambubuli nila. Pero it turns out was also a victim of one of the vigilante killing panahon ni Marcos. Kaya sabi namin, all the more, Duterte panagutin, Marcos singilin. It's always two-pronged. Hindi naman kami namimili.
Oh, hindi
Baka
naman
yung
nawala yung EJK. We had Carlos of Human Rights Watch on this show, and he said, wait, like we're talking as if this is past. This is still happening.
yeah. And kaya lagi namin sinasabi yun, magkaano yan magkabilang panig yan. When you say Duterte panagutin, Marcos singilin kasi sino magpapanagot kay Duterte? And later on, sabi nila, pwede bang dalhin si Marcos sa ICC o kayo talaga ayaw nyo dalhin siya sa ICC? If he commits something as grave as this, then we can take him to whichever court. But of course, ang hirap nung bawat kibot na lang magkakasuhan tayo. Kailangan maging strategic tayo. Kaya yung sabi nga sa amin sa human rights litigation, ang uso ay strategic litigation. Yung you choose your battle, kumbaga. Choose the cases which would really benefit a lot. And for the Marcoses, during their era, ang naging tono yung mga civil cases. And then, si Attorney Carranza, si Attorney Ruben, helped in the PCGG, in the recovery of assets. Mas sabihin na natin medyo nauna yung civil aspect, yung pag-recover ng pera, pag-compensate dun sa mga victims, which I think moving forward dito sa kaso ni Duterte, we're doing it better na yung criminal aspect yung ina-address. Kailangan may mapatunayan na may kasalanan talaga. Beyond reasonable doubt. Kaya para sa akin, importante itong kaso na to. Para hindi lang dun sa parang kaso, no, importante ito to set the record straight. Dito, wala nang makakapag-deny na may namatay ba nung panahon ni Duterte? Wala naman eh. 7,000 lang, nasan yung mga pangalan? Wala. If the ICC clearly sets out the case, then we would all witness what really happened during the time of ICC lang sa totoo lang ang palagay ko makakapag-present yan. Of course, we've had the Quadcom, although sabi ko nga, well, we participated in it. We were very well aware of its frailties.
Parameters of
yes, na parang pag may pero pag may naligaw na or may naiba na ng direction, ito yung gusto kong i-pursue ngayon. Parang kami, bitin pa po, may tanong pa po kami, may issue pa kami. Wala. You're at the mercy. It's a legislative inquiry and really the product is a report and possible legislation. And that legislation would be mooted by the with the closure of Congress na by June. So parang new Congress na naman. So yung nagtrabaho noon, mawawala rin. So yung ICC ang aming pag-asa ngayon na mapakita ano ba talaga yung nangyari nung panahon ni Duterte.
Last part, I mean, alam natin marami na nakikinig sa atin, including, I won't be surprised if even Malacanang people and all, because I get the responses right away after interviews from people. So I know quite a wide range ang listeners natin. If you were to give an advice to the Malacanang, what should they do? Rejoin ICC right away? Form a truth commission? How to make sure na hindi ito yung whims of whatever, Quadcom, Tricom, Pentagoncom, whatever. Like you want to make sure, di ba, na meron institutionalized process kung saan first magkakaroon ng proper legal principle legitimization nung nangyari kay Digong and probably soon kay Bato, because I'm still not convinced with the explanations from the government. Although I'm happy that Secretary Remulla at least admitted talaga nagkaroon ng failure of the justice system in a comprehensive sabotage way, including
nagulat ako doon parang
yeah.
wow.
But thanks to Aimee, my kabayan from here. She forced them to come up with good arguments, and I think that's a good way to start it, to admit first of all talaga nag-fail yung justice system natin. But if you were to give step 1, 2, 3, because ICC only covers the principles, but we know this wouldn't have happened without participation of mid-level people. What is the way forward? Reintegration, reconciliation, security sector reform? I'm basically giving the answer, but I want to hear your side. What do you think should be the 1, 2, 3 steps, especially after these elections, once all the drama of elections is over? Like, what should be the business of the day?
Well, I think one, stop the killing. So it's a policy issue. Hindi ko masabing drug policy issue. I think people are looking at the Comprehensive Dangerous Drugs Law now na parang, we need to amend it. Not really. You need to change the values within the police system. There's a lot of things to change, both practice, policy, perceptions. Kailangan nilang linisin. They were on kind of the right track noon, although hindi rin nangyari. Nung, di ba sabi nila may cleansing, they asked all the generals to resign tapos or for courtesy resignations, and then binalik lang nila yung walang bahid ng drugs. But apparently, some of those were involved in big drug operations or yung mga may sabit, eh, napabalik pa rin. So, linisin talaga nila yon in terms of ano to, dun sa police. And so I would say that to some extent, this would be SSR, yung security reforms.
Sector reform, yeah.
Yeah. But ang hirap mag-recommend because I'm not part of it. So baka maraming umalma na, wala namang kinalaman yan eh. But you know best. And you know how dirty or how bloody your hands are. So wala nang ano, dapat sana may, total, nag-ayuno na ba? Nitong Holy Week, yung mga nag-ayuno ngayong Holy Week, sana tanggalin na yung isip na, hindi, kailangan namin protektahan ng kapwa namin. Second, and this would be part of policy, ito yung segue, really admit that what happened before, yung killings, is wrong. And until now, the killings that are happening ay mali. And therefore, address them through an investigation. There is just this nuance na the investigation, I mean, it could, di ba? It could allow the ICC to step back and say, oh, nag-investigate naman sa Philippines. There's a kind of investigation where the ICC will not look at this as something that mirrors their own operations or their own investigations.
It's a parallel operation.
Medyo parallel, but
yeah.
Yeah, but I mean, there's a nuance to it. Medyo detailed na, pero kumbaga, look into the individual cases and then look into even the high-ranking officials. And even if you investigate, quote-unquote, Duterte, to some extent, it will not stave off the, the ICC investigation. Yeah. Kasi for example, if you investigate violations of protocol, o di ba? Hindi naman police si Duterte and did not violate protocol. So maybe
that would affect thousands of officers and all.
I know, kaya yun yung problem sa number one, yung policy and reforms talaga na kailangan baguhin. Sabi nga namin, ang mga police ba, hindi lang nila alam yung human rights or ayaw lang nilang tingnan or pansinin yung human rights. It also goes into practice eh. Kumbaga sa kanila, may nakasanayan eh. So, kahit na alam nila, di ba, mga bagong pulis, alam namin to, may human rights officer kami, pero pag nakikita nila na, dapat ba ganun? Wala, susunod na lang sila. So, we need to change that mindset. Yung prosecution, it should come as part of parang a comprehensive analysis of bakit may mali. And there's also another aspect that I want, kumbaga, this government to focus on, parang bakit ba may drugs? Yun muna, bakit may drugs? And sino gumagamit ng drugs? We look at it always as a law and order problem, na parang, kasi yung mga, ayaw natin sa drugs kasi sila yung criminal kasi ganito, ganyan. Pero, una, may supply side issue, then second, may demand side issue. Laging demand side yung tinitira natin. Jail the pusher, save the user, ganyan. Yung save the user, umaasa tayo sa mga church groups. Basta ng mga pare, ganun. Pero yung mga users sa atin are usually yung socio-economic issues ang reason nila. Ang user usually
just
kailangang magising.
Sorry, Chris. I want you to spell that out because, isa sa mga kwento is that because some people have to work so hard, almost 20 hours a day, they have to have some bits of stimulants, kumbaga, just to survive. I don't need more details, but people have to realize some people are taking these things not because they want to have fun or go and kill and rape. They take it because their job is so hard that it's like 5 a.m. to 1 a.m. and they have to just keep going because they're working in a very precariats. Basically, marami sa ating mga precariat na kababayan are sometimes forced. I mean, or yung mga kailangan mag-drive ng 20 hours, 25 hours. So, it's not from the evilness of their heart or for recreation.
It's not recreational, yeah.
It's for desperate reasons because their job is just damn hard and pays so low because of the capitalist system we have.
And so that's a problem. Yung socio-economic aspect, yun yung kailangan ma-address. Unlike in other countries, ang solution nila ay, okay, we will set up clinics so that people, kasi yung problem nila, may mga namamatay because of yung injections. We'll set up clinics so that they can safely inject themselves. That's not an issue here in the Philippines. Ang mas issue natin, baka ayaw naman nilang
So
gumamit.
you don't like the Portugal system, something like that?
Yeah,
You
decriminalization.
don't like
No,
that model.
and then
Interesting.
also that's the approach in, I think, Canada and, to be specific, San Francisco. Yung merong clinics that will help you inject. Hindi hindi yun mag-work, or hindi yun yung kailangan natin sa ngayon. Mas, I think, yung trabaho. And then second, meron namang mga gumagamit talaga, and usually it's with the young people. To an extent, okay na ako dun sa yung parang may program na kakikita ko lang to yung ah, bawal maging high sa droga, maging high sorry, sa sports. So, ganun.
Yes to
Give the
sports, no to
young people.
drugs. Yes to
Yeah,
sports,
ganun.
no. Meron ganun. Welcome to like this city. Yes to sports, no to drugs.
Yeah,
Mga
ganun.
ganun,
So,
yeah.
people are kind of in the right track, na kailangan bantayan yung mga kabataan kasi baka mag-explore, kasi parang isang aspect nung use, yung mga kabataang walang magawa, sabihin na natin. Pero yung sa kanila, hindi yung shabu, mas yung sa kanila yata yung ecstasy and kush. So
Bake.
may gano,
Bake.
yeah,
Yeah,
let's do
naalala niya.
bake. Yeah.
Hmm. Ang
So yeah.
call to some of our friends, hmm.
So yun, so i-address the issues dun sa use ng drugs doon sa situation natin ngayon. And on the other hand, yung supply. And if the supply comes from China,
Ay, na,
at kung si
yeah.
Michael Yang ay isa sa mga drug lords, I don't know what he's doing or what he was doing as the special economic advisor of the former
Na hindi
president.
Filipino citizen, which is like even
Uh-huh.
weirder. Like, parang
Na
yung,
parang talagang pinilit. Apparently, may
grabe.
pinagtatakpan pala na ties to the drug trade. Kaya yun yung nakakainis pa. Kung ako dun sa mga supporter ni Duterte, parang dun ako madidisillusion na tapos mo sabihin sa akin, safe ako sa drugs, no to drugs, yung pala, kakampi mo, drug lord, na kumbaga, hindi lang yung, syempre, sabihin na natin, yung mga may mga pumapatay on the ground. Ilan ang napatay niya? Pero yung drug lord, libo-libo ang pwede mong ma-attribute na
Medyo
killings.
capitalist yung explanation. Kailangan daw ng centralization para magkaroon ng
Ah,
discipline of distribution. Parang medyo cartel argument. Parang medyo OPEC.
okay.
Parang they need an
Which,
OPEC of drugs. I've heard weird stuff from people defending Duterte's drug war. Even when I brought up that issue, that basically Senator Trillanes' theory on this, that this is really a merger uh,
yeah.
issue, right? Hindi, okay rin naman yan kasi actually, mas centralized yan, may disiplina, yung distribution, like, oh my God, is there anything that will make people like you reconsider this issue, right? And of course, yung issue kasi niya, I was talking to someone now, yung kapatid niya, naging drug addict and sobrang na-trauma daw yung family nila. So sobrang, whatever you'll do, i-justify niya. But kaya napunta sa acquisition and mergers argument. But what about rejoining ICC and a kind of a
Oh,
true
yeah.
commission for the victims? How important?
Okay. That could come later. Marami, it's a whole array of transitional justice mechanisms. So, prosecution. Pero ako, for me, important yung security sector reforms. Kasi yun yung kailangan na ngayon Yun yung, kumbaga, kind of halfway between the immediate and the long term. The Truth Commission could come in later, and it has to be approached in a proper manner. I remember Noy Noy tried to do this. Yung EO1 niya, naging problematic, naging issue. Kaya we should approach this from a stakeholders point of view. Well, patawag lahat yan, paano natin gagawin. And we could have different types in one country, Colombia, parang sila, patawaran. So parang confessional, this is what I did, this is what I
Truth and reconciliation.
witnessed, truth and reconciliation, and
Chile,
then
I think
quits
at the same
na.
Argentina. Yeah.
Oh, quits na, okay na, walang prosecution. Do we want that or do we want prosecution? In other countries, parang you admit to something ganyan and then they will give you or you surrender a gun tapos in exchange ito ang sewing machine. Yung mga ganon na
Reintegration.
reintegration systems. So we need to understand and we need to feel the pulse of the stakeholders, not only of the public.
Okay. So what you're saying is that hindi na.
Victims.
Okay, so what you're saying is
And
that wag dapat
madaliin.
itong maging prerogative ng administration mismo.
Yes.
For a moment, let's just forget it's a Marcos, like any administration for that
Yeah.
matter. Dahil napaka high stakes ito at napaka multi dapat stakeholders per se, civil society
Yeah.
involved sa issue na yan.
Even I cannot speak for the victims. I cannot say na, oh, ganito dapat gawin natin. Kaya hindi ako nagdidictate ng how this kind of truth commission can go on. I think I've been also misquoted sort of or taken out of context kasi I do support conceptually a truth commission, but I do not support a quote unquote capital national truth commission. Hindi pa. The mechanism of that, we need to discuss fully, pero we can set out all the possible scenarios kung paano. Pero clearly, we need to come forward kung ano ba talagang nangyari. Kasi madaming roots, maraming mahahagip dyan, including yung private armed groups. Di ba na ang tagal na nating private armies, ang tagal na nating issue yan. In fact, it's in the Constitution yung disbandment of PAGs, parang private armed groups and private armies, etc., nung mga politiko, lalo na sa probinsya, nagamit kasi eventually, nung nakita natin, di ba, kapag yung politiko ay na-involve sa drugs, yun na rin yung nagpapalakad or nagpapatakbo. So, baka mahagip din yun dun sa discussion. Kaya magandang we do that in the long run, in the long term, and ako nga, depoliticize this kind of activity in the same way na, or rather, sayang kasi yung Marcos yung Marcos compensation claims na later on dapat sana magkakaroon ng museum, dapat mapapublish yung mga affidavits ng mga victims, kaya sana that would have been a model. Pero apparently dahil Marcos yung presidente, nawala.
Yeah, it
So
creates
yun yung ayaw ko na
I see what you're saying.
depende siya sa context. And then,
Prerogative. Yeah.
prerogative, yeah. And then later on, I see na kailangan ng, ito yung medyo, ano ba ito, vague na, for me even, yung paano yung, not really integration, yung othered people, yung na-dehumanize natin, yung sabi natin na walang kwenta, salot sa lipunan, paano natin i-welcome back into society or paano natin tatanggapin ulit. Kasi kung gaano nga kaliit yung sabi ko nga, kung yung mga magnanakaw nga dati na ninakawan yung kaban ng bayan, na welcome back natin, bakit hindi yung kapwa Pilipino? And that kind of, kumbaga,
Ayaw nga natin
community-based,
i-welcome back eh. Ayaw nga, paalisin na, papakulong na yung isa, yung Sandigan Bayan, nag-rule na doon. Sabi ka ni
ang
Jonathan
hirap ang
Morales,
gulo-gulo.
hindi katulad ni Butiin, Senador, hindi ako convicted. I know you watched that hearing, yung hearing ni Bato about Polvoron. And then, nung nag-ano si Jinggoy, sabi na, hindi katulad ng Butiin na Senador, hindi ako convicted. Oh my God, that was, okay. So actually, thank you for this. Kasi, okay, what if I offer and compromise? Let's say, magkakaroon ng interim Quadcom style na Truth Commission just to build national consensus and understanding around the facts of the case. And then a much more long term. So you can, kasi
Mhm.
ang worry ko dito is if we're just gonna take the next, alam natin how NGO, civil society, we will debate this for 10 years, right? Ang
Yeah.
punto kasi is, sa impeachment is gonna come soon, right? The trial most likely. So obviously my interest yung iba dyan to expose this because it serves their political interest. So I completely agree with you that we shouldn't leave it only to these people because they have their own political scores to settle. But ang point ko is that couldn't that be an interim measure just to make sure ang ating bayan alam nila yung kwento ng mga biktima? Parang kumbaga ito yung version ng Quadcom na lumabas yung Miggy Mango, Mary Grace Piatos. In this case, it's actually the horrible toll of Duterte's drug war para lang magkaroon ng magkaliwanagan tayo dito sa katotohanan dito. But this will not be the final ultimate truth commission. The final
Yeah.
ultimate one. Parang I'm thinking along those lines eh. Kasi kung iwanan natin ito sa debate lang, you know it better than me, Attorney Con. It will take 10 years before we agree. Argentinian
Yeah.
model, Chilean model, Colombian model. Mamaya next thing you know, fiesta na, di ba? So, what I'm saying is, I think we have to have a sense of urgency at the same time kind of a long view of this is a generational problem to resolve.
Ah.
Ganon yung inisip ko. And then the second
So,
point I want to ask you, compensation issue. What about the compensation issue? Isn't Sara Duterte asking ICC to help them actually? Giving them to key to figure, oh, ang dami niyong palang pera. Wait lang, si Michael Yaman na. I mean, you get what I'm saying? Like, eventually, like, kaya napaisip ko, why would Sara do that? Actually, baka mamaya they will regret their bank accounts being checked because Senator Trillanes is very excited to check their
I
bank.
know. So, well, one, could be, yeah, parang legislative inquiry. And to note, one of the articles of impeachment against Sara Duterte includes yung extrajudicial killings, her role. So that has to be fleshed
As a
out.
mayor of Davao, as a mayor
As
of
mayor
Davao.
of Davao, yes, as mayor of Davao. So for me, I'm interested in that as well kasi what I have is not sufficient kasi Davao yun eh. At kulang ang impormasyon ko dyan. The ICC could have some materials and hopefully dito sa sa impeachment mapakita yan. If there is ever a new Quadcom, parang ganon, well, I think we would still participate because the victims had kung nga, on a scale of 1 to 10, nandun sa 5. Nandun sa
I'll
5
take
yung
5
ano
over
nila.
0 any day.
Yeah. Kasi gusto nila that they were able to talk. Kaya lang yun nga, ang ayaw din nila ay parang hindi naman kami yung pinapakinggan lang. Parang we were given 2 minutes out of all the time. Tapos parang yung iba, parang anong mga pinagagagawa? Ano pang mga in-explore? Although we understand na parang they were focused on identifying who were the perpetrators. Kaya lang, may missed chances, including yung sa Pinas kay Debold Sinas. 'Di ba? Si Manyanita person. Malapit na rin siya mag-birthday ulit, no? June.
I'm not sure it will be as manyanita. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm not sure
Basta
he
yun
is
lang yung
well.
ano sa Pero si Debold bilang isa sa mga perpetrators din nung panahon ni Duterte. Could be, that's a possibility. Kaya lang yung danger nga na it could be politicized again. It just depends really on who will manage it. In the long run, ang importante talaga ay magsama-sama yung mga stakeholders. And hopefully, so we go now to compensation. Hopefully, merong maayos and even earlier than compensation dito sa ICC case, magkausap yung mga victims and the groups that are helping them to agree how to reach out to the victims. Kasi actually, yung victims, di nga nila alam na victim sila eh. Oo, namatay yung ano ko, yung asawa ko eh. Pero okay lang. Ano naman yun eh. I-break ko na naman talaga siya eh. Yung ganon. Kaya parang, hindi po, biktima po kayo. Ganun ba? So, yung ganung concept na yung mga biktima, hindi nga nila alam na biktima sila, kailangan ding pag-usapan at alalayan pa rin sila.
Because na-internalize nila in the humanity.
Yes, na-internalize sila yung stigma na
Yung problema, yeah.
kami naman po may problema eh. Ganun talaga eh. So, hopefully, this ICC case will give us the opportunity to really sit down na, okay, mag-usap-usap tayo. Because we also need to determine who will be part of the legal team for the victims. So, it will be a three-sided ring, ganun ba? So, prosecution, defense, and then the victims. The victims, technically, are not the second prosecution. Hindi naman kami mag-prove ng case. Kaya pa para dyan sa mga nagbinabatuhan kami lagi ng, kailangan mong pruwebahan to, Attorney Conti. No, si Karim Khan po ang kailangan magpruweba ng kung ano mang hinihingi nyo. So, the victims just have to present their parang views and concerns. At the end of this, reparations. Yan. And the reparations, sabi nga nung ilang judges sa ICC, cannot be measured according to what the accused can give. E di zero yan sa ibang pagkakataon kasi indigent din yung akusado in some cases. Siguro naman hindi dito, no? Siguro sa panahon na